Or of the interview with Hanka Brecher.
All right. I came to Sheffield and I rested, and then I wanted to go to school, and I went to night school. I was too old for elementary school, so I had to go to night school. And as I was sitting in the classroom, I became confused. So the teacher suggested that I take somebody private to teach me English. So my cousin was very good, and he gave me assignments, and that's how I learned to read and write and speak correctly. And then I wanted to do good, so I wanted to heal people, because the Swedes were very good to me. So I enrolled in a nursing school in Sheffield. My family wasn't very much for it because it was hard work, long hours, and I had to be away from home, and just come when I had a day off. But I wanted it so much, though they accepted me even without my formal education. They spoke to me. They said, we'll give it a try. So I did. And then hell broke loose. My uncle became very ill, and I said I had to leave because this is my uncle. This is the closest thing that I have. Nobody can help him but me. Everybody who talked to me, nothing could be done because I was so determined. So I went and I nursed him back to health, and I went back, but I found it too hard because, the subjects were not only English, it was Latin, and it was anatomy and physiology and chemistry and all that. And I was very upset. The war broke out with Israel. I wanted to volunteer, so they wanted to send me.
We're talking 1948?
1948. The war broke out in Israel. I wanted to go to fight. They wanted to send me to Germany, and I said, I'm sorry, I don't go to Germany for nothing. My foot will not go to Germany. And so I was very unhappy. My uncle said, all right, you want to go to Israel? After the war, after the War of Liberation in 1950, they bought me a ticket and I went to Israel. When I came to Israel, I met my father's family, because they kept on asking me to come. But my family in England didn't want me to go because life was very hard. And they thought that I had enough of hard life, that I deserved to but they saw that I was so determined and unhappy, they said, go for a trip. So I went as a tourist. And that's where I met my husband one day when I was in Haifa. I came on the ship. He was working on the ship. So we met, but we didn't talk much on the ship. I met him while I was walking with my aunt in Haifa. I ran into him, and he said he would like to see me. My aunt said, why not? And so I saw him from time to time, until we decided to get married. When I was in Israel, I decided I will try to work in a hospital. So I worked in a hospital, but it was too strenuous for me. The climate, the tension. I was ill, so I had to go back to England for a while. After I was married, I went for about 3 months.
When were you married?
I was married in 1951. And I went to England on a visit, 1953. And I came back. They wanted me to stay. He says, well, you can we get your husband to come here. I says, no, I couldn't live here any longer. I like Israel. I'm going to live in Israel. So that's how I came to Israel, and that's how when I became very ill, when my first child was born, I became very ill again. So we decided to come here. So we came in 1956 to America. And since I'm here, I have a stable life, what they call a stable life. I have nightmares. The older I get, the worse it becomes. You know, that's what it is. That has to do with the war.
I'm sure. Did you find any of your relatives after the war?
I found the only brother that I had, my youngest brother, who is older, 11 years older than I am. He's no longer with me. We were separated, you know, the day that my father was taken, and he went to the town that we were born, and from there he went to Bialystok. In Bialystok he met up with my other brother Pinchas, the one that went to Mariampol. They were supposed to meet in the evening and go together to Israel, but my youngest brother was shipped out to Magnitogorsk, which is deep Russia. He was an intelligent man. He had his high education, not just high school, but he went to gymnasium, as you know, it was like college, but higher than college. He spoke several languages. He was teaching in Russia, in Magnitogorsk. There was a camp for Jews. He met my sister-in-law. She was from Estonia. She was a teacher. They fell in love. They got married. She had all her family there too. After the war, he went to Estonia back with her, and he went to school and he became a lawyer because he did not want to become a teacher, because the teachers had to join the party.
The Communist Party.
Every teacher that taught had to belong to a party. I was very disappointed. Well, he wrote to me in England because he knew I had an uncle in England. That's how he found me. And so he wrote to me, and I said to him that he should come. They wanted to take him to Israel. I'm sorry, he found also the family in Israel. That's how he also found that I was alive. And they wanted to take him out, but he could not leave the family because he had a little boy, and she didn't want to leave the parents and her sisters, so he stayed in Estonia. And in 1965, I brought him over on a visit here, and he stayed with me for about two months, I think, 2 months. And of course it was hard talking about these things, you know, certain things, you grow apart. I was a little girl, and here I was a married woman with 2 children. He did not change as far as he was very spoiled, you know. And he told me about meeting with my brother. Also, when we were in the ghetto, my brother that went to Mariam, my other brother, that's no longer with me, I don't know what happened to him. It's what I heard. through other people. Through him, through my brother Henrik, my brother Pinchas, or Pinek, or Philip, as he was known. The boys got separated, and he went to Vilna, and in Vilna he joined a kibbutz. And then when the Germans occupied the Vilna, he went to a small town called Mariampol, and he joined the partisans. And he was killed by the Germans over there, but we don't know when or what. But during the war, as long as he could, he was sending packages to us in the ghetto. So this has also helped to survive. There were many stories, my friends, my cousins, beautiful people, beautiful, beautiful people. They all had dreams, but somehow they couldn't. They had more chance to survive than I did, but they didn't.
Now, when you came to the United States, you came with your husband and one child.
Yes.
Now, and your family increased?
All right. My family, I had one child, and after I had her, and she was 5 years old, I had another one, a younger girl, named Felicia, and I was blessed because she's a very good child. They both wonderful girls. They both teachers. They both teach. Now they have, one had a tragedy. We lost a grandson. He died of neuroblastoma. I don't know if you know what that is. That is a cancer that you're born with, and it spreads. And when it comes to, we didn't find out until he was 3 years old. And it went very quickly. It was something special. It was something special. That's the one in the middle. And that broke me down. That really was the last straw for me. After that, I'm not the same.
Well, I think that we will stop at this point, but I would, is there anything else that you would like to say at this point? Any message you would like to leave?
Yes. I want all the people, not only the Jewish people, not to believe that the Germans didn't know. I can never forgive the Germans what they did to the people, Jews and non-Jews. I can never, never trust them, because if they can deny that there was a Holocaust, they are liars.
All right. Thank you.
And I want the people to know. That's why it's very hard for me. And I was advised by my doctor not to do it, not to see the movies, not to read the books. I haven't read Anne Frank's book. I cannot see any violence on television. I cannot read books pertaining to that, because then I don't sleep for nights. And I normally do not hate. I really don't like anybody, because hate is very useless. But I cannot bring myself in heart to forgive them what they did to wonderful people. Not only my parents and my brothers, but what they did, and my family, my immediate family, but to all people, the ones that I didn't know. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And when the nightmares come, It's horrible. I could never. Some of my friends, they went to Auschwitz, they went to Poland. I could never go there. I could never. I could never, because I do not believe them. You know, I heard my brother, the one that was a lawyer, he went to Poland because he used to like to travel. He went to Poland, he went to the town that I was born, he went to Gdynia, and he met some of the people. They burned a house down because they were looking for treasures. They said my mother left a lot of stuff with the people, with the Poles and the Kashups, because that part was German. They all were afraid that he comes there to collect their things. So they were told that the German took it. The German took everything. So how can you believe such people? How can you believe the rubbish? Real rubbish. And when I think about it, those wonderful, wonderful young people, it breaks my heart.
Right.
But I had to do it. And maybe I can sleep and rest.
So thank you very
No.
much.
I wish I didn't have to say that. Well, on the left is my mother, Fela Cohn Nee Fehrenbach. She was born in Lodz. This picture was given to me while I was in London, living in London, and it was a group picture, and I had it made into a single picture because I have no other photograph of her. On the right is my father, Shlomo Cohn, and he was born in Warsaw, and this picture also was given to me in England, and I had it redone from a group picture. They were married in Lodz. I don't know exactly what the year was. I was never told by them, but I figure approximately must be around 1912 or something like that. All right, on the left, the male is my mother's brother. His name is Adolf Fehrenbach. Then is my mother, Fela Fehrenbach. Then is my mother's sister, and her name I don't really know exactly, but she was her older sister. I think it's Yetta. I don't know exactly. The youngest one in the picture is was, because I haven't heard from him for many years. I don't think I don't know what happened to him. Is Raphael Fehrenbach, and they were born in Lodz, and this is a picture taken in Lodz, and that's all I can tell you. All right, this is a picture of my brother Philip Pinchas Cohn. He was killed sometimes in Mariupol, or the vicinity, by the Germans in a place called Mariupol, that's near Vilna somewhere. I don't know really too much about him. He was a wonderful young man who had big dreams. He was, according to my mother, he was the best of us because He always gave of himself. He never needed anything. I think probably I survived because he sent those wonderful packages until we had no more, from 1940 to 1942. And it helped a great deal, because otherwise I don't think we would survive. I would survive. The rest didn't survive anyhow. But I always think of him, what would have happened if I had him near me. Well, this is what I remember. It's probably the first identification that I got after the war.
Who gave that to you?
I believe it was one of the ladies that when I arrived in Malmö, Sweden. All right, this is also an identification. It's a legal paper that I have, that I received in Malmö. And I can't tell you too much about it. It has my date of birth and information where I was born, and that's about it. It was given to me in Sweden. Well, this is another form that I got when I arrived in Sweden, and it has Malmö on it, and my name and my place of birth and my signature. That's about it. That's all I can tell you about this. All right, this is a picture of myself when I was in Sweden, and I think it's one of the first pictures that was taken of me, beside, by a photographer. I don't know for what, but it was sometimes in 1945. All right, this is a picture in Karlstad of myself, and most of the people on the picture are people who were ill and who were in the school that was specially given to the refugees who were needed convalescent. And I am the second one from the left. A nurse is holding her hand around my shoulder. I stayed there for a couple of months probably. I don't know exactly the date. I can't remember. It was in the year 1945. Probably end of the summer. All right, this is a picture of myself. I am the second one from the right. I'm holding a bunch of flowers. I believe it was my birthday. These people that I'm surrounded by are people that were with me in one room in Karlstad, Sweden. The blonde lady is a Swedish lady by the name of Ingrid Hansen. She came to visit me. She befriended me, and she was more than wonderful to me. The rest were people that survived the war, and I don't really know the first one on the left. Her name is Zosha Kohn, and she lives in Sweden. The last time I know she lives in Stockholm, Sweden. The rest, the one in the front to the right, I don't know where she is. The one on above me, her name is Dora, that's what I remember, and she came to America, and she lived somewhere in the Bronx. I met her maybe about 15 or 16 years ago, and the girl, the one next to Dora, the first on the top row, she survived, and she was in Israel. I haven't heard from her at all. We went different paths. All right, this is a travel document issued to me in London by the British government when I went to visit Israel. I had to have one, and it states where I was born and all about me. All right, the man on the right is my mother's brother. His name was Philip Fehrenbach, but they went under the name of Ferner. They shortened it. And that's his wife, my Aunt Nellie, and her name is Mrs. Ferner. And I stayed with them after I came to England, and they were very, very wonderful to me. All right, this lady, her name is Frida Lemberg. They live in Zduńska Wola, Poland. She was married to Dr. Lemberg. I don't remember his name because I never met him, but he was the Juden Älteste. He was like a president of the Jewish ghetto. He was a medical doctor, physician, and the Germans approached him to that he should give 1,000 men for shooting. To this he replied, "Who am I, God? I can only give you my son and myself." They were shipped to Lodz, but he was killed. And we lived in the same house in the Lodz ghetto. And when I was in trouble and very unhappy, she took me to her room. And I stayed with her until the end of the ghetto, till I reported.